Hello and welcome to some handbrake boosting discussion in Need for Speed Undercover. For that, I've collected a few cars for quick race which are relevant to the discussion, such as ODTT Quattro, which is used for the Tri-City tournament, and some other shenanigans, Porsche 911 GT2, which is used for roller coaster and some endgame takedowns where handbrake boosting is quite relevant. Lotus Elise, pretty much the entirety of Undercover's early game, and the last but not the least, Nissan GTR, which is the fastest car in the game, the best car for ILs, and the car one would use if they were to attempt 100%. It would be used in the endgame to clear out all the racing. Small thing about GTR here, as you can see, we have wide body equipped, and the reason behind it is it gives just a little bit of top speed, like a couple kilometers. More undercover weirdness for you. Each of the cars presented has upgrades relevant to their state in the actual run, as you can see, as well as tuning. For the 80% cars, it's more basic, because I personally don't like spending more time on adjusting other parameters than the drivetrain and nitros. Same goes for TT and Elise. Elise, especially since it has the tuning for nitros to duration, which is actually to aid handbrake boosting more with its current state of upgrades. So yeah, that's pretty much all on the cars themselves. And before we get to the display of the technique, I want to mention one more thing. Here I'll be showing both use of it, both the use of it with gamepad and keyboard. But with gamepad, I'll show the more basic stuff, since I myself am a keyboard player in most racing games, and in this game I played for around 500 hours, if not more, with keyboard. Strictly. Okay, so let's start, I guess, with the TT and with the Tri-City tournament job, because it's a pretty good track for displaying the technique, and we'll be using TT, and well, it's the easiest car to handbrake boost with. You'll see what I mean in a second. I think I'll remove the traffic, because anyway it's the display of the technique in a vacuum, as well as the opponents. Crank up the amount of laps, and we take this beauty for a ride. Okay, so for note, right trigger obviously gas, X for handbrake, nitrous A, and speed breaker, I believe left bumper. So, what we do for this thing to work? Yep. We start adjusting our position on the track. We start turning, and then we do a little press on the handbrake button, and it needs to be small enough not to break the engine, so to say. As you can see, I'm pretty awkward with the controller. The thing I would compare it to is like firing a bow. You need to pull on the string just enough to gain the velocity for the arrow, and not enough to actually break the string. And if you press just a little, like not enough, you won't gain any velocity. So you basically press it. It's actually a very short window you need to remain on the handbrake, because otherwise if you hold it too much, like even if you get a small speed boost, you'll likely just spin out. Yeah, as you can see. Another thing is you can do a few consecutive handbrake boosts, and they will still gain speed, which can be used for clearing multiple corners in a row, because you really want to be handbrake boosting around the corners or crests just to not get swerved into a wall as a result. But if you do too many handbrake boosts in a row, your engine will break. Like if you over rev it hard. Like, yeah, as you can see, I was hitting the window, like the timing window, and in these cases where I did it too much, it gave me no speed. So the ways to actually snap out, because you need to snap out of handbrake, like you do not only let go of handbrake, because like, let me demonstrate. Yeah, if you keep on holding the direction input, you will not gain as much speed. Like, you need to either counter steer out of it, which is quite helpful when you want to actually handbrake boost while driving on a straight, or if you do it over a corner, you can just let go of the steering input. And another way of doing it is to cancel out the initial handbrake boost effect, initial handbrake effect with nitros, which usually tends to amplify the effect by a lot and allows you to do more aggressive handbrake boosting. Like you basically chain your handbrake into the nitros. Bruh. Sometimes I'm such a meme. Yeah, since I'm not a controller player, I sometimes misplace the buttons. Yeah, here we go. And you can actually start a handbrake boost even if you're not holding gas to begin with. Like, this was a poor display, but yeah, it's sort of how it works. You can even let go beforehand if you need to drop speed before a corner. I hope I'll display it more properly with a keyboard and with another car. So here are the basics. And you can also use speed breaker to more easily course correct after you've done a handbrake boost. It is very useful on the more tight tracks and more useful on the cars that are far more prone to oversteering, like for example Lotus Elise, which actually let me demonstrate and now do it with the keyboard. Let's go to Ocean and Wilson, one of the early game events. Again, we disable nitros because quick race is weird and gives you its own nitros if you enable them, and those nitros are really bad. They run out quick and don't give you power. Just a little trivia for AL runners. And here we go, Lotus Elise, Ocean and Wilson, and let's display the fun stuff. Of course, this one you're doing stop, but here we just use the upgraded version because it's easier for me to not have two separate versions of Elise. For Elise, I actually like using handbrake boost out of no gas. Okay, so yeah, Z brakes, A gas, arrows obviously, arrow down speed breaker, and obviously spacebar for handbrake. And like for Elise, since it's pretty stiff on the suspension, even if you leave it as neutral, on sharper corners you really want to let go of the gas before handbrake boosting into them, just for better steering power. And as you can see, you are able to not only slightly tap nose after handbrake boost to amplify speed, but also hold it for an extended period, which gives even more speed in the end. And this is pretty much a demonstration for Elise. And another example of course correction for handbrake boost via speed breaker, but it will be better displayed on Jackson and Veteran. Okay, so no opponents, no nitros, because we want to use our own Lotus Elise. And another thing to mention about handbrake boosting is that you want to press the handbrake plus direction input on higher revs to actually receive the boost. And another example of letting go of the gas before handbrake boost for better steering power. And here, as we're top speed, more course correction via speed breaker tap. And also really helps as well. Like both nitros and speed breaker are great tools for course correcting your driving. For example, here I was at a very high risk of driving into a wall. And nitros also sometimes allows you to get a speed boost where you wouldn't get one if you were to just use the handbrake boosting like the normal, trying to counter steer or lift off the steering input like normal, for example here. But here I lost anyway because yeah, I didn't hold enough at these revs. Okay, so as you can see as well, different cars behave differently with it. You use a little bit different arcs of going into handbrake boost. Like some you're steering more, others you steer less. It depends on how easy it is to actually perform this technique. Okay, let's go to roller coaster and use Porsche. It has once again a little different approach, and this kind of stuff definitely just depends on your feel of the car in the end.
Baby, it's a race to the bottom.
And your experience. As you can see, GT2 is amazing at doing extended nitros after a handbrake boost, but there's a small problem. Like, you see this terrain and this terrain over here. Of course, it makes handbrake boosting even easier in the mountains, but you're on such high revs and you're basically flying through the course, so you're at a super high risk of just flying off some small bump. It's also a big issue in Palm Harbor, where there's patches of like sidewalks in the middle of the road. I don't know exactly what these are, so I'm calling them sidewalks. So please forgive me for doing so, but you can fly over them. You can fly from them and barrel roll. Let's go, for example, to Cross Slope and Ocean, as it's a great display of such stuff. And let's show how ridiculous Nissan GTR is. Here were not enough revs for handbrake boost, but here it's just fine. It's just fine. Yep. Here we go. We're just yeeting through the course. You can see the sidewalks, they're already sort of giving me problems. Of course, the biggest thing giving me problems is my own driving. Yeah. Oopsies. Yeah, sometimes I'm just terrible. You can see this patch. I sometimes fly off these things. Like, there's probably some issue with collision. Like, when they're high enough and you got very stiff suspension after you perform the handbrake boost. And it just sends you flying. And let's go to our final track for the display. I think it belongs here. Yep. And it's just to show how the dirt patches, how the gutter affects the power of handbrake boosting in the end. Yeah, as you can see, I'm already again boosted over the slope. Not the best showcase, but it's consequent handbrake boosts, helping you get and maintain speed. Okay, so here with the help of Nitro, yeah, you can perform this ridiculous stuff. For now, I'm just showcasing, so my performance is outright terrible. But as you can see, you can do so much with this. And basically stay at top speed for most of the time. Even with hairpins. Again, lifting off the gas for better cornering. Here I pressed on the handbrake too much and lifted off the gas too much. But here we go. I think that is all that I wanted to deliver in this showcase slash guide. If you have any further questions, feel free to contact me on F.F.R or personally on Discord. I'll be glad to help.